You can't skip steps. You have to put one foot in front of the other. Things take time. There are no shortcuts, but you want to do those steps with passion. And
that was the challenge Jeff Bezos faced. For years, the most important woman in his life barely came up. Never in newspapers, rarely in interviews. Jeff spoke of technology, growth, shareholder value, the dream of space. But questions about family or emotions met a closed heart, like a locked vault. Then, at a private Aspen event, everything shifted. No cameras, no press, just a small room, a few dozen minds sharing personal truths. When asked, "Is there anything you haven't said?" Jeff leaned in, voice slow. "It's time to talk about her." He left her unnamed, yet the room felt the weight instantly. It wasn't a tribute or love story, but the raw truth of silence and distance built over years. In that moment, his voice slowed, heavy, not shaky. Jeff Bezos admitted he had hidden behind reports and speeches for years, avoiding a deeply personal truth. She had seen him before the world did, believed in him when Amazon was just a garage idea, raised their children while he built an empire. Yet he never asked, "Is she okay?" Only when she left did he realize. Love, he said, is a place we rarely pause to feel, too busy building, conquering. Suddenly, Jeff didn't sound like a tycoon, but a man searching for answers. She left, not in anger, but with clarity, a quiet choice that changed everything. Then Lawrence Sanchez entered. A meeting without headlines, paparazzi, or tabloid drama. To the outside, they seemed like two successful people united by aviation, media, and curiosity. But in Jeff's world, it was more complicated. Lauren entered quietly, even naively. She admired genius, ambition, the restless energy that had carried Jeff from a garage to global dominance. Yet she didn't see the emotional scars hidden beneath the public image. Meanwhile, MacKenzie Scott was quietly stepping back, not with drama, but with silence and distance. Their home remained, but they were no longer true partners, just co-parents, co-founders, drifting apart. MacKenzie noticed it and didn't fight. She began to leave gracefully. Lauren, unaware, had no warning that joining Jeff's life meant stepping into unseen complexities.
It was entering a legacy, one of intensity, obsession, and relentless forward motion. By the time the media noticed their relationship, the real story had already unfolded. It wasn't a scandal, just a quiet turning point. Lauren didn't understand that love in Jeff Bezos' world is never simple, always an equation haunted by the past. The divorce announcement was polished and brief. "We remain dear friends." The world praised the civility, but it hid MacKenzie's truth. What seemed graceful was her way of setting boundaries. For 25 years, she had supported a man who never stopped, watched him transform from bookworm to global titan, from husband to headline, understanding his legendary work ethic and impossible standards. She realized too late that Jeff's ambition wasn't just a motivator, it was a shield, a wall love couldn't cross. Behind that closed door, MacKenzie stopped trying to change him, not from failure, but clarity. With 3 children to protect and 1 to adopt, she knew her role wasn't to keep pace with Jeff, but to break the cycle defining him. So she left. No books, no interviews, quietly giving away much of her fortune and embracing a smaller, purposeful life. The world saw generosity, but not the strategy. MacKenzie walked away from a legacy, refusing to let it define her children. Jeff didn't just build Amazon, he built armor. Each report, launch, and profit added another layer. Beneath the empire was a boy shaped by absence. His biological father, Ted Jorgensen, barely known, and later adopted by Miguel Bezos. On paper, he had a perfect family, but the emotional blueprint was far more complex. Jeff's drive wasn't just innovation, it was control. It was about building something so unshakable that no one could leave again. MacKenzie understood this over time, from a letter Jeff never sent, from his emotional shutdowns, from measuring love by success alone. His distance wasn't arrogance, it was defense. He had mastered operations but lost the ability to truly feel. That made him brilliant in business, but hard to love. He didn't push people away, he just forgot how to let them in. Lauren, sharp and media savvy, wasn't ready for it. MacKenzie had lived it her whole life, and the cost was clear. This wasn't a scandal or tabloid story, just a quiet conversation, maybe in a mansion, maybe a retreat. And there, Jeff spoke, not about MacKenzie or an affair, but about the letter. A letter written decades ago, never sent to the father who'd left, held Jeff's unspoken pain. A mix of anger that became vision, and silence that became an empire. As Lauren listened, her understanding shifted. Ambition, control, obsessive perfectionism. This wasn't just Jeff. It was the man he had to become to survive. Lauren realized MacKenzie hadn't left for another woman. She left to break the cycle, ensuring their children wouldn't equate worth with applause. Her warning wasn't a threat. It was a torch, a silent message. You can stay, but know the weight it carries. No press release announced MacKenzie's departure, yet its aftershocks were everywhere. Publicly, Jeff pivoted. Privately, he reflected and rebuilt. He became more present, more vulnerable, philosophical even, culminating in the shocking decision to step down as Amazon's CEO.
For Jeff, the question isn't just who he has become, it's whether Lauren can uphold what MacKenzie left behind. Not wealth or power, but truth. Lauren Sanchez isn't just in love with a man, she's drawn to a legacy. Having dated other public figures, she knew the price of the spotlight, but nothing prepared her for Jeff Bezos. Not just a tycoon, but a legend. At first, it seems simple. Two ambitious, adventurous people connected by shared interests. But relationships shaped by trauma followed different rules. The first time Lauren saw Jeff spiral, it wasn't a business crisis, but a quiet moment triggered by an old memory or headline. She described him as disappearing right before her eyes, present but empty. That day she realized she wasn't just dating Jeff, she was living with the man MacKenzie had once tried to protect. The weight didn't scare her.
Curiosity sparked in Lauren, but it didn't mean she was ready. Over time, she became more than a partner. She became a mirror. For the first time, Jeff had to confront not just his journey, but the man he had become. His brilliance, ambition, and vision remained, but so did the boy who once sat by the window, waiting for someone to come home. Lauren had entered a house filled with a silence Jeff had never escaped. Before leaving, MacKenzie left one final message. Not a letter, not a press release, but a short, pointed conversation directed at Lauren. Though hazy in specifics, its spirit lingered. Jeff would love you as he created you, not for who you are, but for who he needs you to be. It wasn't an insult, but a warning wrapped in wisdom. Lauren didn't fully understand then. She thought MacKenzie meant Jeff was simply intense, maybe a little controlling.
Lauren underestimated the depth of MacKenzie's message. It wasn't about control, it was about absorption. Jeff didn't just build, he absorbed dreams, goals, even people. Not maliciously, but instinctively, as if nothing mattered unless indispensable. His love was real, yet carried invisible terms written in every action. Slowly, Lauren adapted, adjusting plans, tone, pace, until, looking back, she barely recognized herself. The confident, independent woman who had entered the Bezos universe had subtly changed. What MacKenzie had once tried to escape, Lauren was beginning to inherit, not from fear, but from understanding that some legacies aren't spoken, they're silently carried. Jeff's transformation wasn't superficial, not just about a new relationship, leaving Amazon or flying into space.
The transformation was deep, methodical, and intensely personal. Friends noticed Jeff spoke less about strategy or growth and more about meaning, love, and presence, words foreign to his boardroom. In an interview, he said, "Watching someone you love pursue their purpose is the greatest gift." Poetic, yet for those who know him, a confession. He had built a life to be admired. Now he was learning to be understood. The journey hasn't been smooth. Old patterns of perfection and control still emerge, sometimes testing Lauren. Jeff isn't the man MacKenzie divorced, but he's not entirely the man Lauren expected. For someone obsessed with control, his greatest growth has been learning to let go, of winning every argument, maintaining his image, proving his worth. Instead, he reads novels, journals, and spends unplanned time with his children. Small acts, yet powerful steps toward healing. In his quiet way, Jeff isn't just reinventing himself for the world.
Jeff was finally striving to become the man MacKenzie had always hoped he could be. Rumors and theories swirled, but one truth remained. MacKenzie didn't leave because of an affair. She left to break a cycle. For the kids, for Jeff, and for herself. Her departure gave him something he had never had: freedom. Not measured in rockets or net worth, but emotional freedom. The space to feel, fail, grow, and let go of the idea that love must be earned or bought. Jeff had spent his life building towers to prove his worth, but MacKenzie didn't destroy them. She walked away so their children wouldn't inherit that burden. And Lauren, she didn't step in to fix Jeff. She stepped in to understand him.
And that's where their story continues. Between ambition and pain, reinvention and memory. The truth isn't in headlines or financial numbers. It's in what people hold onto and what they let go. Few see beneath the power, wealth, and smile. Jeff Bezos lost more than a marriage. He faced a reckoning that reshaped him. Was MacKenzie's quiet departure escape or compassion? Either way, it altered his story forever. If this intrigued you, like, share your thoughts, and subscribe. Next, we'll uncover another untold truth that could change everything.